I see my next guest. She is in the background, and let's bring her in. We are joined, Sarah Bils, DD Geopolitics.
Hi.
How you doing, Sarah?
Good. How are you?
There, I'm doing okay. There should be no stuttering today. I have a
I hear
fantastic
what's
internet.
in the background? I hear music. Are you what's going on? Is there a party?
People are screaming their prayers to Allah. People are
So
screaming their prayers
beautiful.
to Allah.
I love that.
You can hear that. Damn it! I didn't want people to be able to hear that in the
No,
background.
I
All right,
love
I
it. Who
will.
cares? Especially now that we know what it is. Now it's great.
Well, I can't get the air on because it's too loud. I have the door open, but I was hoping that nobody could hear it. That's okay.
No, it's
I
good.
I do enjoy it. It's just 4 in the morning, kind of like a rooster crowing. Sometimes it can be a bit much if I'm trying to sleep at 4 in the morning. But no, it's a heady experience. Like it in a Baptist church, you hear people sing.
Mhm.
It's very orderly in the way that they do it. It's very American, mechanical the way that they do it. You know, they get up, you get a person singing. Sometimes if it's a black church, there's a lot of soul
You
into
give
it.
the refrain, you give the call back. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Black churches are that way, right? It's like
Mhm.
the woman getting in it. It's like a woman in her 60s she's doing it up. This is different. Like this is even on TV when they are like hitting prayer time. They would click to a screen, a man in a robe, hands up, and he is just screaming his prayers to Allah. It's fantastic. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Right?
great.
Yeah. It's so yeah, I love it. And then you hear tune-ups. So just before they really get to that point, you hear people like screaming, tune in, trying to make it get it right. And then finally at the moment, it's very harmonic. No, it's good. I like it.
Oh my God.
I've enjoyed it here. How are you doing, by the way? You doing okay?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm doing all right. I feel guilty because I fucked up today with a person, and it was my fault. And
You do 5 shows a week for 3 hours each. You're gonna one mistake is okay.
it wasn't with a guest. It was with
Oh.
unfortunately it wasn't with a guest.
Well, even better. I'd rather not be with a guest.
Yeah, it was. I felt so guilty. I sent her like bushels of flowers. Like as an apology, it was that bad. All right, but it wasn't a girlfriend or anything like that. It was a doctor.
Oh, okay.
I'm hypersensitive around certain issues of health, and my hypersensitivity, even though ultimately I was the one that was wrong. All right, so let's not with Kayla. Let's not start with Kayla. I love it when she talks and she says stupid things, and so I don't even know oftentimes what she's going to say. I just know Kayla. That's going to be a clip.
Yep.
Keep that clip. But I wanted to talk about Putin's question and answer.
Sure.
DD Geopolitics did a great job. You guys did a good layout of many of the questions that were being asked and answered that Putin gave. They had a fantastic SCO. They had a fantastic Victory Day. Lord knows I wish I would have been at the Victory Day. I wanted to be at Moscow's Victory Day. That's the one that I really wanted to be at because, you work at Sputnik. And at one point, you kind of feel like, and you play chess. So you get
So you're like,
familiar.
I'm kind of Russian. I should kind of be there.
At the very least, there's a, it's like this sounds horrible. It's very racist. When a white woman marries a black guy, and it's kind of like I'm married to him. There's a spiritual link here where I'm kind of in this space. It feels like that. It's like you're working at the network and you have this affinity, this thing. It's not that the network tells you what to do. It's just you just kind of fundamentally agree on issues of foreign policy. And so, especially if you studied the Second World War, you feel it, right? I think it should be celebrated around the world, frankly. Yeah, I think it should be celebrated around the world. I think it's a huge mistake that many of these countries have chosen to go the path that they have gone in backing effectively Nazism, again, as a worldview, and specifically in Ukraine. But let's go to the speeches. So let's start with this one. DD Geopolitics posted this one out. I went to the site to see the other ones, but I think there's a bit of gamesmanship being played here by Putin, and I want to get your take on it.
I thought so too. I also thought he was kind of making fun of Trump a little bit in some of the answers.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't get to translate the Trump segment, but there was a whole segment. Maybe I'll do that today. There was a whole segment on Trump, and he was kind of being very like cheeky,
What do you mean? Give me an example. Because
like
I know you. Because I've
like
seen Lavrov.
Russian humor. Like he was like, oh, we're good friends. We talk to each other. We talk to each other on a first name basis. Like very like silly, like very like, oh yeah, we're friends. But then like the actual content of the speech was like, this is the multipolar world. This is where we're going. Like it was very. I mean, I'm sure you saw it in the examples, but there were some things where you're like, that's a definite call out directly to Donald Trump. Like, I think there was one in the thread that I pointed out to Nick last night. Hold on, let me see if I can. Oh, the one where he says you can't talk to your partners like that anymore. You can't talk to us like that anymore.
Right.
It's not the age of imperialism or colonialism is over. That's what he says. Yeah. And this is the direct. They won't get it because the Trump administration is historically retarded and doesn't even like have an ounce of self-awareness. That's direct call out to the United States confronting India over oil. You can't tell us what to do anymore.
But he was very direct in saying it, though. How could Trump not get that? Like that was very specific to you can't talk.
Well, first of all, Americans don't even watch it, but secondly, they don't get it. They don't get it.
Well, Trump said he was glued to it.
Well, Trump also said that the reason why they had the celebration was because of him. So, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of clarity over there.
Oh, that is funny.
Did you see the tweet? I'm sure you saw it.
Yes.
Where he was conspiring against it. Like, what? I feel like I feel like this is like Stalin levels of paranoia. Like, are the purges coming? Like, what are you talking about?
He says something like, while you guys have your Victory Day parade, I hope you think about America and all the help we gave. It's like, are you effing kidding me? America lost like 400,000 people. China lost like 30 million.
It was like 15 to 20 million, I think. And then Russia with 37. Those are the two highest. And yeah, China, and they're like, and it's constantly, even, with Russia. Lend-lease. You wouldn't have that one if it weren't for us. And now you're going to say the same thing to China? All you did was firebomb Japan at the last minute, like, and then drop nukes on them. Like, what are we talking about? These people are crazy.
Yeah, it's so petty. It's so, the level of ego is off the scales. Like, it's astonishing. It would be cartoonish, and you would not even put it in a movie because it was like nobody's going to believe somebody is that petty and thin-skinned. Where they're watching a Victory Day parade where their country fought the Japanese, beat back a menace that was as bad, if not worse, than Nazi Germany.
Worse.
And your response is, what about us? What about us? It's like, dude, you had your parade.
Remember, your parade was sponsored by Palantir. Okay, you should have had them do a better job. Coinbase and Palantir, which is literally Palantir and Palantir. So you got what you wanted.
Yep. All right, so let's go to the first one let's undo the Venezuela one, just because in interest of time. So this is where Putin puts out, I'm willing to meet Zelensky in Moscow. I'm willing to meet Zelensky in Moscow. He just has to come to Moscow. We can have this conversation right here.
Дональд попросил меня, если возможно, провести такую встречу.
Я сказал, да, это возможно. I said, yes, it's possible.
В конце концов,
in the end,
если Зеленский готов,
Zelensky is ready,
в Москву,
let him come to Moscow. Such a meeting will take place.
Дональд попросил меня, если...
Now, first, he's calling Donald Trump by his first name, so there's that. Two, he knows.
Which is not necessarily a good sign from a Russian. Like, people think of it as like a familiarity thing, like oh, they're friends, that's why they call each other by first name. That's not. It's kind of like a jab in a way. Yeah.
Why?
Because it's very unprofessional, and Trump or Putin does not do that, and it's like come on, Donnie. Like, it's like a very like, it's like it's very unserious almost.
Okay, fair enough. I see. I had a different take on this one, even though I do accept your take. I guess my thought was there is a process that's going on where Russia and Europe are trying to maneuver Trump. And I think from the Russian point of view, we need Trump to believe it's the Europeans' fault. Because let's take for the moment, let's say that Trump actually does want to deal. He doesn't want to look bad. He doesn't want to be humiliated. He doesn't want Ukraine to fall because that's going to look even worse. So he wants to get a deal, but he doesn't want to be humiliated in that deal. And so he needs Zelensky to bend. He has no pressure on the Russians and needed Europe to shut the F up. Now he can walk, but he doesn't want to walk because that's effectively, they're going to be screaming at him. Oh my God, Ukraine lost because you are. It's your fault. It's your fault. Donald Trump is going down in history as the failure for Ukraine. So he wants to deal. What Putin on some level needs to do is make it look as if, hey, we're being reasonable. We're willing to negotiate. We're always open to negotiations. If Zelensky wants to come to Moscow, something that we know he's not going to do.
Exactly. That's why it's kind of a slight. It's like, I'm just going to throw this out there and be like, neither of these idiots are going to come follow through on this. So, like, it's almost getting to be comedy at this point. Like the not feigning, but the making sure that we look open to all deals and they look silly. And like he even like said some jokes towards the end, and he was kind of making fun of Trump and Witkoff. I wish I could remember. I'll translate it today and make another thread. But he was
defending Witkoff.
What?
He was defending Witkoff.
A little bit, yeah. But he was like, I can't judge his work. Donald Trump should do that. Like, this isn't like, yeah, it was a very interesting thing. But if you don't, well, you should know because working for Sputnik, but if you don't watch Russians a lot, you wouldn't understand what he was even trying to convey. It's not a face value thing.
Well, they also have a wicked sense of humor that can be brutal.
That's why I was laughing the whole time. He kind of had like a smirk when he was talking about Trump. I liked it. It was good.
Okay, so here's one where he's talking about the multipolar world. And I love these conversations because, again, I think they see something and smell something in the air amongst themselves where they seem to be getting closer together because they have to get closer together. On some level, they seem to recognize it. And I think they even see blood in the water in regards to the U.S., in regards to desperation, like the hysteria of the people that have been on Fox and whatnot. China can't beat us. Look at the equipment. They've stolen all of it from us. They can't beat us.
The cope is just off the charts. It's just insane.
Yes, this is Modi's war.
Oh.
So this is... Oh, let's see. Let me bounce this around so everybody can see it.
I love that.
Yeah, that guy is like the arrogance of the Indians.
Oh, like of all people, the Indians, they're like the least arrogant out of the global South. The arrogance of those Indians to make money off of oil.
Yeah, how dare they? And buy those Russian weapons as opposed to ours and open up their grain market so we can destroy their grain market. Yeah, like you said, the cope has been pretty extreme. Here's Putin again.
Well, assessing the work of someone who works for the President of the United States is not my job. It is the job of his employer, President Trump. And I'm convinced that Mr. Witkoff conveys the information in this context with me and with other members of the Russian leadership that originates from the US president, not anything else. And our talks in Anchorage showed, it was clear from the context of our talks, that information is relayed quite correctly. Our position is conveyed to the US leadership is completely clear to me, and it's something that I saw during our discussions in Alaska. Because the things that we discussed with Mr. Witkoff, all of that was fully confirmed in the presence of President Trump. And
now, the reason that he has to do this is because the German newspapers and even Politico has been attacking Witkoff viciously, saying Witkoff got it wrong. Witkoff didn't understand what was being said. Oh my God, I can't believe Witkoff sat in there with with Putin by himself without military advisors or something like that, so they can, be more boisterous. They have been hitting him relentlessly, and Putin is, I guess, regenerating his credibility. Give me your take on this, because I have a certain idea on why he's doing this. But give me your take on this.
I don't think so. I mean,
Don't think so.
Russian analysts, right? Like
Yeah.
even in the beginning, they were like, they're gonna drag you along, like talking about the United States, they're like, they're gonna drag you along in these negotiations and let you look stupid. You know that, right? And they did. They dragged us along in negotiations and made us look stupid. And this was early on. And I've looked at it from that lens like the whole time. Not that they're like maliciously, but they're allowing the Americans to look dumb. Witkoff is a real estate broker who is beholden to the Qataris. You think that Putin doesn't know that? Of course, he's going to say, yeah, he's doing a great job. Yeah, he's doing a good job.
I agree that they weren't going to try to rush this for anybody's benefit.
No, I think that they're saying that a mediocre or a shitty job is a good job because it's a good thing for Russia for them to be shitty at negotiations. It leaves all the power and leverage in Russia's hands.
Agreed.
The United States never knows what's going on, which they still don't. It's insane. You could literally pick up like a book by Glenn Deason and be like caught up and up to speed on this, but they refuse. But the fact that they don't know anything about it gives Russia all the power and anyway, and they're just kind of stringing them along. I mean, even in the press conference, he said, "We'll solve it by military means. That's fine."
So, stringing them along.
If your opponent, which they are an opponent, and that's how Russia looks at them, is fucking up and sending you a retard, you don't complain about them sending you a retard. You let them keep sending you a retard.
No, that's not what I was going with. I accept that. Agreed. You have my full agreement on that one. Stringing along, I guess, is what I was picking at. I think that from the Russian point of view, we have things that we need to settle, and we're not going to do this overnight. And if this takes 2 years while we beat the devil out of the Ukrainian military, then it takes 2 years while we beat the devil out of the Ukrainian military. I don't care that you have a child that's a president with a small attention span. This will go along our schedule. We will be very diplomatic about it. We'll be very nice. We would call Donald. We would do all that stuff.
But I feel like there's some barbs under that niceness. That's the vibe that I've gotten from this press conference, more so than any other. It was like, yeah, we'll play nice.
Is it because of the smirk? He's smirking.
He had a smirk the whole time.
Yes, he's smirking.
The Donald thing. It was very interesting. I'll translate more of it today. Maybe you can give me more of your opinion on Saturday. But yeah, it was very, very interesting. The way that he kind of held that speech, and just even the Ukraine answers were not very, I don't want to say they were aggressive because they weren't like warmongering, but they were very they were aggressive. They were like it's very clear where the Russians stand.
It's a president in a dominant position.
I think that at this point they're kind of just toying with their prey, with the Americans.
It's a president in a very dominant position. Like when Obama, do you remember when Obama and Romney had their debates? And the first debate, Obama got rolled. The second debate, it was about even. In the third debate, Obama was a beast. And he was a hard ass. Well, they were talking about military. And so it's almost like just cause. I'm the man that's going to protect us from the world. And so I can beat the devil out of Romney in this debate in a way where I had to be no drama Obama. This is a president that has been in a war for 3 years, is in a leading, dominant position in that war, knows Ukraine is on the brink of disaster. And he's flexing. I think it's that. As for Witkoff, I think he has to rehabilitate Witkoff. I think it's kind of what you're saying. You send a shitty negotiator. We like that shitty negotiator because he has no idea what the F he's doing. He's dealing with people who are trained to negotiate and make these sort of deals. And so we want that guy. And so we need to protect and rehabilitate the credibility of that guy. And so if you ask us, did he get it wrong? Well, no, he got it perfectly right. When we were in the meeting, everything that we relate to him, he relayed to Donald Trump, and the outcomes of the meeting is exactly what we needed to be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, he's rehabilitating Witkoff for their own reasons. At least that's my take on it. The smirk is there. The smirk is there all the way through. It's just funny. Let's go to another one. So this is also Putin, and he is talking about, as you brought up, the multipolar world. Now, this one is interesting because you just had the situation where China gave out its, what do you call it, declaration, this kind of world governance initiative.
Oh, the initiative. Yeah, the World Governance Initiative. The New World Order.
But that is just the old world order. What's funny about that? That's just the UN's own initiative. It's what the UN is supposed to be doing anyway.
I know. It's funny.
Yeah,
But they see it as like the new axis of evil is putting in a new world order. It's like, no, those were the rules the whole time.
it's just you.
You just didn't follow them ever.
Don't follow the rules, right? You just don't follow the rules. So this is Putin having the conversation about multipolarity, which, of course, is the objective. And on some
Think
level,
about
why the US
any-
media was freaking out because they said, oh my God, the majority of the world is at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and is standing with China. And Putin is supposed to be isolated. And yet the overwhelming majority of the world is standing with him, including some NATO allies, because you had Erdogan there, Pashtian there, Azerbaijan's, Aliyev there. Yeah, you had all of those people there also. You even had some European countries that just so happened to be there. And so if you're looking at that, and you're looking at, okay, like 5 European leaders, give or take, Kalis, who's dumb as a box of rocks.
Oh my God.
That is, I love her. I love her.
I love her
to
too. It's like a bless your heart thing.
It is. I keep saying, oh, she's so pretty and dumb.
Yep. That's what I keep saying. I'm like, oh, it's a good thing that you're pretty.
Yeah. It's like, you're so adorable. You're so adorable.
Yeah. She's
not
not
like my ex.
She's really crazy. It's a good thing she's in charge of she was in charge of a very small country, and her job at this point doesn't really mean anything, because if this woman wielded any power, we would be effed. She is so delusional and psychotic and Russophobic that we would be dead.
Yes. But she's pretty.
She's cute.
Pretty. Yes. Yeah, she looks like my ex. It always trips me out every time I see her. But this one, she's pretty. No. This is Putin talking about multipolarity.
I wouldn't really speak about any domineering pose. It doesn't mean that this new multipolar world should have any hegemons, because no one is speaking about this, not in BRICS, not in the SCO. Everyone has equal rights in this multipolar world. And from international law point of view, everyone must have equal rights, must be in the similar position. Yes, there are economic giants like India or China, and actually our country is among top 4 biggest economies if we speak about the purchasing power parity. These are the current realities. That's not something that we would like to have. That's what international organizations calculate, but it doesn't mean that anyone should dominate over the politics or over global security. So we do not believe that there should be some domination. Everyone must be equal.
Is that possible? Is that possible? Is there such thing as a benign superpower? I mean, because even if, let's say, the dollar collapses and the US recedes on some level, and we avoid that 3rd World War, and you get China, Russia, India, Iran, South Africa, you get, these other countries that start to lump onto things like the SCO, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, meaning you get this kind of new world of sorts that at the spirit of it has that point of view of like, look, we're all nations, we're all equals. In theory, China has 1.4 billion people. They're going to have a military that is astonishing. Their industrial capacity is going to be breathtaking. Can you have a benign hegemon?
Well, your hypothetical is impossible anyway, because if the dollar collapses, the United States will blow up the world. They will trigger World War III. That will never happen. But I don't know. And you know what? I was reading this morning before I hopped on. I was reading Indian comment sections, and they have the same trepidations. They say, we're like, they're happy. They don't necessarily like Trump, but they're say, as soon as the dollar is not the currency, or as soon as United States hegemony falls away, China will betray us, just like they betrayed the Soviet Union. And I thought that was kind of neat, because I take the Chinese side in the Sino-Soviet split. But yeah, they think that they're kind of, there is no such thing as a benign hegemon. especially when it comes to China. I don't know that I feel that way. I think that we need to give them a chance. People don't understand, or people don't realize China's understanding of Marxism, Leninism, which is another thing that Xi brought up. He said, we need to continue on the course of Marxism, Leninism with Mao Zedong thought and and Deng Xiaoping theory. And that's important because those are communal centric, anti imperialistic visions. And if they're continuing on a Marxist Leninist path, then he stressed socialism with Chinese characteristics, I believe that they will be a benevolent hegemon if they continue on that path. Chinese embody the whether you agree with Marxism, Leninism or not, or Mao Zedong thought, or Deng Xiaoping thought, whether you agree with it or not, these are very communal, anti-imperialistic ideologies, and nobody understands them better than the Chinese. Even Marxism, they always understand it better than, no, they've always understood it better than any other communist society, even the Russians. And that's how China has been. China is very incredible about learning from other people's mistakes. They will look at Cuba, they will look at the USSR, and they will say, we're not going to do that, and this is why. That are constantly learning about the material conditions. When people think of China as like this militaristic thing, it's not. It's an academic endeavor. They are very, very ideology eccentric. They understand what this means. Whether you think that will get warped is up to you. I look at Xi as a continuation of Deng Xiaoping, and he was very benign and peace loving. He just wanted to kind of engage in this sort of state capitalism, and which evolved into socialism with Chinese characteristics. And I think that pathway is peaceful. I don't know enough about the border dispute with China and India to get too detailed with that, but I would think that would be one of the only hangups. We need China right now. It doesn't matter. We have to reunify the Korean Peninsula. The United States has to get out of Southeast Asia. The subcontinent needs to be propped up. You said 1.3 something billion people. Well, India has their own 1.1 billion people. India has more natural resources than China. They should be doing better than China. And we need to start uplifting these other countries. Somebody told me a fact last night. I couldn't even believe it, that the United States has like 6 times the natural resources of China. And look at how far advanced they are. That's because Chinese people look at other societies and they learn from their mistakes. And I think that they'll look at the United States and learn from the mistakes of global hegemony. I mean, they suffered a century of humiliation. They suffered famines that were so great, millions of people died. They lost 20 million people in World War II. You think they want to do that again? That's crazy, So maybe I'm you being utopian, but at least for the foreseeable future, I don't think that China will be an aggressor. Not against anybody inside of this sort of bubble that they're creating. Maybe towards the United States, but I don't think it will be militarily. I think it will be more economic and political, the way that they've been maneuvering.
I agree with everything you just said.
Okay.
I think philosophically, China is different than, let's say, the USSR or the way the United States
agree. Yeah.
operated.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of Confucian.
Yeah. It's very
relationships. That's what we want to do. Yeah, I disagree with Mearsheimer on this, because Mearsheimer thinks all states are effectively states, but he's using the Western model to kind of come up with that hypothesis. Like, well, all states, once they become
Chinese
hegemon.
don't look at the state as we look at the state. It's not the same thing. I mean, it's just I'm talking to the listeners. Go watch Xi's speech. Go watch any of Xi's speeches. The party is the people, and the people are the party, and the country is ran by the Chinese Communist Party, period. I know party members. This is a very holistic and a very inclusive society, like a very inclusive sort of political movement. I just don't foresee it schisming, especially now that there's no Radio Free Asia, no Uyghur genocide propaganda. All that stuff's been shut down. China has like smooth sailing right now, and all they have to do is build up soft power and continue on. And I agree, it comes from this sort of unavoidable Western sort of lens or perspective when talking about these hegemons. So they're like, well, I mean, a powerful hegemon is obviously going to go around starting wars because that's what we did. I mean, we're normal and we set the standard. So if we did it, everyone else is going to do it, or at least want to do it. And it's like,
Right.
that's not how everybody else is.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works.
No.
I mean, if China gained primacy, let's say the Soviet Union and the US, these were, I know people don't think so, but mirrors of each other. Like the way they operated, in the same way
They
that the Soviet
were.
Union fell,
And
the
there
United
even,
States.
even analysts of the time, or there's a really great book of Russophobia by Guy Matan. I don't think that I have it near me, but yeah. And he talks about this. He's like, one of the reasons why the United States hated them so much is because they were so similar.
Yeah, they were. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be enemies in a weird way, if that makes sense. Like you.
Yeah, you can't
Superman
be
is not fighting.
diametrically opposed to China because they don't even understand what China stands for. If the Russians
Superman-
are a lot like them and kind of want to be more Western, it's much easier to sort of give people the knowledge base to be like, this is why you hate them.
Yeah, China was different, or at the very least, China.
Yeah,
is
for
different.
Chinese, they're like, I don't like them because they're mean to animals. Oh, okay, or like so stupid shit like that. But with the Russians, it's like there's actual Russophobic, like
Yeah, they're hateful.
It's because they see themselves in each other.
Yeah, on some level, but I don't know. I'm gonna have a monologue after this, making the argument that Nazism won, and not necessarily the material conditions of the war, but if you think of Western
The ideology itself, 100%.
Yeah, what is it other than Nazism? I mean, if you look at the genocide that's taken place, that the West fundamentally and fully backs and pays for, if you look at the Russophobia that has taken place, even going to the point of getting actual Nazis driving with Nazi insignias on German tanks, rummaging through Kursk for 3 minutes.
I think
until they
people
were
forget about this, that all of this even happened. Like, it's such a mind fuck. You're like, remember we had a Nazi in the Canadian Parliament and we like had to actually argue about that, and it's like
They applauded him.
all of this stuff happened over the last 3 years, and I think that you should do the monologue. I'll watch it, but I've said that.
I don't want you to watch it. It's gonna make me nervous now that I know you're watching it.
I've said that in some capacity because they pulled the best and the brightest out of the Nazi regimes, even the Nazi puppet regimes. They pulled them into the United States. So what else did they bring besides their ideology? Like, what else did they bring besides their ambition and their intelligence? They brought their ideology. And liberalism is very easily kind of shifted and molded to be amicable to fascism or to fascists. I'm wondering how far this kind of corporate state merger will go in the United States, and how much. And not only that, you know what? I'll give you some fodder. We were talking about it last night. The Germans saying we're going to have to cut back on social spending because we got to. And I was like, wow. So social democratic Europe is going to go back on their own political system to rearm to fight Russia.
That was part of my other argument. It's like in the same way that Germany burned down with Hitler making these fantastic speeches about, what they're going to do. Europe is burning down as we speak.
Around them.
Yeah, it's astonishing. And these leaders, they asked Keir Starmer one day, they said, hey, Keir Starmer, you realize Russia's nuclear weapons, right? This was after Russia launched Orezhnik. And Starmer is like, we're going to fight the Russians if they do so-and-so. And it says, but they have nukes, right? You get that, right? That the Orezhnik can hit here. We're going to fight the Russians. I mean, you can't even answer that question. And I had the guy here yesterday, he was a military analyst, and he pointed out, he says, he used the language fear and, what was the other thing he used? Fear and something. And I said, but they seem fearless, like meaning they've gotten to the point where they seem to have forgotten how bad war actually is, which is wild considering that war took place primarily in Europe. And for that matter, losing the fear of nuclear war. It's bizarre. But that seems to be what these idiots are. And as you point out, Kalis, that twit is one of the most terrifying, as tiny Estonia, with the least people.
6,000 people in the military.
And she wants to feed them to the Russians. After Ukraine, with the largest army in Europe, where they built that military up like 3 times over, got eaten alive. These people are out of their effing minds. Like, they really are. multipolarity. I don't think China would be the same. By the same token, do we really want a world that is stuck with this idea? Because I agree with you too on this. God, man, there's a lot of agreement today. I do think the world is going to accommodate the lessons of a hegemon. Like, is this something that we want to really have? Like, meaning when we're looking at the world and with the U.S. and what the U.S. has done around the world, especially if they start a war, a larger war, after the dollar and everything else is collapsing and whatnot, the world is going to look around and say, "Is this what we want?" Now the catch is, I don't know how you stop it. How do you stop China from becoming a hegemon, even if it's a quote unquote benign hegemon? How
We're
do you
already
stop
on that pathway. There's no stopping it. And it's just because by default, somebody needs to rise to the top, because regardless of what Americans think, their empire is sinking. Maybe it's not dying as of right now, but it's definitely ebbing and sinking.
It's dying.
So somebody needs to step up. And
but why do we need a hegemon? Like, what's the logic for the? Because I guess from my point of view, these people are building trillions of dollars in weapons, and as opposed to, hey, Sarah, if you leave your knife, I'll leave my knife, and we just agree not to have knives, and we negotiate and talk. Now, you said something early on that mentioned dark forest, where India was like, the moment that the U.S. falls, China is going to take over. Dark forest. How do I trust that you are really going to put that knife away? How can I trust that as a human being? How do I know that?
You don't have a choice. Like, I mean, this is great, but you don't have a choice. Like, these lesser countries, I don't want to say lesser, these less powerful countries don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. Like, that's the thing. Like, get on the train or stay at the station. Like, it's moving without you. That I don't know that we need a hegemon, but we do right now, because there will be a vacuum once this sort of empire, the American empire, ebbs to the point where it's not really even projecting much power. And we're getting to that point. Who's going to step in there? It's going to at least have to be the poles, right? So you'll have your China, you'll have your Russia, you'll have your Venezuela, and maybe Iran if they wake up and decide to show up on time. And so that's what will fill the vacuum. But China will have to step up and kind of take the initiative and do it as well, because China will be kind of the one sort of, look at what we had to go through for 3 years before we even got to this point. And it was constantly trying, like, just the fact that we were like, where's the SCO? Why aren't they getting together? Where is BRICS? What are they doing? Et cetera, et cetera. And now we're here. And it's like, I mean, for 3 years, I was saying, I don't think India is really they've got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. And now look at them. Look at how much it took us to get to this point. So, it's a labor of love. It's going to be hard. It's going to be dark, but it's inevitable. So it doesn't really matter.
I am terrified.
I know.
Oh, what is about to take place?
Oh, yeah.
I know people think multipolarity is this kind of panacea, this kind of thing. I don't think they quite realize that countries don't just give up power in this way. Like, the U.S. is not just going to fade gently into that.
Just read read about the Samson option. Every country has one to a degree.
Right, but that's not just militaristic. I mean, the U.S. is looking out at the world and is realizing we're losing position in Africa. We're losing position even in South America. This is our backyard. Europe is basically our only vassal at this point, with other countries being far more dubious. And so you have this kind of, for lack of a better word, this kind of Western empire of sorts that is on the decay because the United States is colonizing Europe for its own benefit. And yet you have chicken hawks who remember what it was like in the 1990s, where we were the unipolar power, this kind of unipolar moment. And my fear is that kind of what Trump is doing now with tariffs, where he realizes, okay, American power is waning. Let me exert that power. Let me
right.
tighter.
That's another Samson option, because all it's doing is destroying yourself.
Yeah, but you can take the world with us if there's not an economic collapse or something like that in America, like a Great Depression or something that hits beforehand. That is terrifying to me. I mean, look at what we're doing in Asia. We've been trying to do the Asia pivot for God knows how long.
I mean, everything that is going on right now is all America's doing. Indonesia, that's an American pushed coup. Serbia, those protests are being co-opted by the CIA. People need to keep their heads on the game, like, and understand that the multipolarity is inevitable. It's coming, and your only other decision is what's going on in Indonesia, which is burning down parliament buildings and then waiting for the United States to give you your new government. That's the other option. Or the other option is to let your kids go out into fishing boats and have them be killed by the U.S. military. That's your other option. So what choices do we have? The United States is building a surveillance state to watch its own people. The chickens are coming home to roost. Why does an empire do that? Because they're getting ready for an uprising or some sort of revolution, or because they're afraid that their power is slipping away.
Yes, all of those things.
Things are going to get very dark.
What time is it? What time is it?
7:10.
Peter Church, that book, End of Times, talks about this.
I got it. It's right over there. I will read it soon. I'm almost done
It
my
is
book.
so good.
And then we'll talk about
because he goes through specific details for like hundreds of years and hundreds of government, like just country after country after country after country. And, you know, he points out that the only reason the U.S. didn't go through a revolution back during Roosevelt's time was because of the New Deal. And this redistribution of wealth in a way to stave off the revolution.
That sort of Band-Aid over the gunshot wound. Well, the New Deal was good. It was good for the time, but exactly that kind of staves off the inevitable. The 2008 bailout, that was from China, staving off the inevitable. Like this sort of the cyclical nature of capitalism, the cycles are getting shorter, right? We had 2008 to 2020. That was a 12-year cycle. Prior to that, it was almost 20 years. Right. So they're getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and the band-aids are getting shittier and shittier.
Exactly, and that's the point. That is the point of the book. That when elites get into power, they enrich themselves, and they do it at the expense of the working class and the poor. And they, in their minds, they create media, they create publicity, all of this stuff to justify us having more, you having less, and they do that year after year after year, and they get to a point where they're like, we don't need to do anything for the masses. We don't need to have a political situation that can change.
Complacency,
Yeah. And eventually you get other elites who are wannabes, who can't be elites because the elite pool is already full. And they use the misery of the masses to effectively foment revolution. That's the argument that takes place in the book. And it's good. I'm not going to preempt it, but it's really, really good. Sarah, you are awesome. I don't know if I guess from my point of view, however, whatever comes after, whether there's a world war, whether there's this massive collapse, whatever that is, whether aliens come back and the whole thing just fundamentally collapses because something, you know, it's just a ontological shock, whatever that is, whatever comes after, this notion of India saying, well, how can we trust China? That needs to go away. Something needs to change in that. Because that's the issue, what it boils down to. I have my knife because I don't know if you have a knife. And just in case you have a knife, I'm going to give me a gun, in which case you get a gun. And then I'm putting nukes in space because, you know, you don't know.
Yeah, but they all have nukes. And they're all, and even, China's even beefing up other people's nukes. So.
Because they know a war is coming. They know a war is coming. They don't have a choice. But this is kind of my argument, right? Like, if I could say, hey, Sarah, you're awesome. If you put down your knife, I promise to put down my knife. And you could say, okay, I'll do this tentatively and give it about 10 years. And it's like, okay, well, neither of us have picked up a knife in 10 years. We've worked through issues. Can you also put down your gun? I hope you get my point, right? Like, there has to be something to stop us as human beings from spending trillions of dollars on building shit to kill other human beings. And there has to be some level of earned trust where this dark forest thing among human beings is not, I don't know, otherwise we're going to kill each other. That's, yes, that's your dose of Pollyanna for the day. So, Sarah, you're awesome. I'm going to close it on me being very Pollyannish and you looking at me like, Oh, he's so sweet.
Yep.
What a
That's okay.
sweet.
You balance out my black pill.
It's like, what a sweet dumb guy. He's so
No,
sweet.
you're not Kaya Callis. At least you're pretty. Just be pretty.
I know, right? Oh, he's so pretty and dumb. Sarah, you are awesome.
I'll see you on Saturday.
I will see you on Saturday. Sarah Bils, DD Geopolitics.
Enjoy your monologue.
Um,
I'm gonna watch it. Bye.
Yeah, now it's going to be all fucked up. It's going to be like, God, he was bragging about that monologue. You have a good one, okay? All right. Sarah is